Hello and welcome. You're watching Business Today Television. I'm Sakshi Batra and this is Market Today, a show where we'll help you understand the closing action on the D Street, starting from the benchmark index moves to sectoral action and all the stocks that are buzzing in trade as well. Well, the market's going strong, 19,688 currently on the Nifty index. The Sensex also jumped by over 660 odd points as well. Looks like the bulls have really made peace when it comes to the Israel-Hamas war, because we've come back very, very sharply and a smart recovery has taken place after the knee-jerk reaction of yesterday's trading action. Everything is doing well when we talk about the sectoral indices front, starting from the banks up by 1%. It's the realty space that's buzzing the most. So we will discuss a lot about the real estate space and what is really keeping this space really in action today. Over a 4% surge is what we've seen on the Nifty Realty. In fact, this index has also surged to a 15-year high. The last time the level was seen was back in the year 2009. So long, slump that we have seen the real estate space be in is slowly and gradually looking to reverse that trend as well. Should you be one of the early participating ones as the trend reverses as well? And is this for real too? We'll try and find out from our guests today. Apart from this, when we see it's the PSU banks that follows with 2% surge, the broader markets, mid and small caps also up by over 1.5%. You also have the autos, private banks, IT, oil and gas, everything buzzing in trade. The top gainers on the Nifty index, Coal India tops the charts with 5% uptick coming in. News flows clearly indicating one of the highest dividends may be coming for FY24 for Coal India. Adani Ports, smart recovery from yesterday, almost a 4% surge. Bharti Airtel, Hindalco, Adani Enterprises and Kotak Mahindra Bank, the top movers on the Nifty index right now. On the downside, you do have about 5-6 stocks that are still sulking in an otherwise vibrant market. You have IndusInd Bank that's not really participating in the banking fervor. About 0.5% of a decline can be seen here. The pharma majors not in good health. Dr. Reddy's, Cipla still declining about 0.5% each. You also have TCS right ahead of the earnings tomorrow, seeing some nervousness creeping in, about 0.3% of a decline for this one. And Asian Paints also slightly lower in trade. The broader markets clearly seeing a lot of strong moves coming in. Godfrey Phillips is up by about 8% Gujarat Ambuja Exports is up by 7%. City Union Bank is up in trade about 7% too. Infibeam Avenues, IRFC, Godrej Properties, Delivery also up in trade as well. So a lot of stocks from various sectors coming up in trade right here. Smart moves on all of them as well. Time to welcome our guest on the show. Sonam Srivastava, the founder of Right Research, now joins in. Sonam, welcome to Business Today Television. Great to have you with us. Tell us, what is your own sense of the markets, the kind of smart recovery we have made just a day after the knee-jerk reaction for Israel-Hamas war really was done. Have the markets really made peace, bulls made peace with the war right now?
Yeah, that's what seems to be the case right now, right? I think, if you look at the history of the Israel crisis, right, I think the reactions that these escalations gets from the market, they tend to be short-lived. And, that's what we are seeing in the market right now. I think, when such a huge geopolitical event happens, there is a panic that is created among market participants, and that's what we saw yesterday with the rise in gold prices. But I think today, the bulls have recovered, and we are seeing good growth happening in, the cyclical sectors.
What's the outlook then on markets?
See, our outlook continues to be quite positive. If you saw the news, IMF sort of raised the forecast of GDP for India by 20 basis points, which is a big positive, whereas other developed equity markets did not see that upsurge. And, India seems to be a standout country in terms of GDP growth across the world. We are seeing very good numbers coming out of, the payment infrastructure. We are seeing very good number coming out of the 5G infrastructure. There's a lot of positives that are there for the Indian market. Along with it, we have expectations of a rate cut in the next few years, next year or so, and that will bring stability to the market. With the RBI pause happening, I think there was a lot of positives that came out for sectors like real estate and autos, right, which are very, very sensitive to the rates. And with the rates stabilizing right now, we're seeing these amazing rally happening in the real estate stocks today, which is also because of, like you said, that very good projections coming out of the earnings from the real estate stocks. So I think the projections continue to remain strong, and there are obviously risks that are there in the market that we have to watch too.
Right, Sonam, I'm glad you pointed out on the real estate space because this is where we are interested in discussing a little bit more. The real estate index has surged to a 15-year high. Of course, we had been seeing positive, commentary, news flows with regards to sales figures for a lot of companies, advanced sales figures and sale figures for quarterly numbers. Again, for this, there are positive quarterly updates as well. We've seen the index rise about 4.5% in trade today. This is the highest since about 2008-2009 that we have seen. A lot of stocks from this basket have surged about 18-19% on an intraday basis as well today. Prestige Estates, it was up 18-19% on an intraday basis. Right now, they've cut some profits and about 9% surge can be still seen. Sobha Limited, Godrej Properties, all up 6.5% all. Oberoi Realty, Brigade, DLF, Phoenix Mills, all of them buzzing in trade right now. What is your own sense of the kind of boom that we are seeing in the real estate space? Is this here to stay? And would you warrant investors' attention looking for a long-term bet here?
See, definitely the numbers look quite interesting, right? And if you look at the
as well, Prestige Estates, the company has reported its highest ever sales of 11,000 odd crore rupees in the first half of the financial year. This is 69% higher than the year ago period. The quarterly sales have more than doubled to 7,092 odd crore rupees. The shares were definitely the highest moving shares in trade today when we talk about the real estate pack. What do you think about this company?
See, definitely the numbers are extremely interesting, and with the festive season coming up, right? I think real estate will again have a lot of attractiveness in the next quarter. If you look at if you compare the positiveness on the consumption front, that is still very strong after the COVID crisis. Real estate has become extremely attractive for investors, and we think that rally could continue. If you look at valuations of the real estate company also, right, they are not the most expensive companies on in the market right now. The valuations still have a lot of scope for growth for real estate companies. So I think it's a very interesting time for us to look at real estate, especially with the festive season coming up. I think the next quarter could be good for the real estate stocks.
Okay, so what would you really prefer? Would you prefer the large cap stocks like DLF? Would you go for the mid cap stocks like Ajmera Realty, which have also risen to almost their 52-week high levels today? Your thoughts on these kind of large caps versus mid caps? Where exactly should one look for value?
So I think it totally depends on the specific sectors in the real estate segment that these companies cater to. I think even the large caps in this space look quite attractive, right? And with the consolidation happening with the RERA regulations, I think some of the larger players do have a big way ahead for them. But yeah, I think there are a few small cap stocks and small and mid cap stocks in the segment which are also quite attractive, right? So I think
which are your top bets?
So in terms of our top bets in this segment, I think we have to follow like a balanced approach. So like you said, DLF is quite attractive. We are Oberoi Realty, Prestige Industry, which is rallying a lot today. So I think these will be few of our interesting bets in this particular segment.
So in case one has a long-term view in the names that you have suggested, what kind of upside can one really hope for?
See, looking at the valuations right now, I think there is a scope for growth, and it totally depends on the overall market direction. But I think in the next few years at least, right, you could expect a good CAGR number coming out of this particular segment. So I would expect like a 20 to 30% CAGR growth for this segment in the next few years, right?
Okay, got that. Moving on from the real estate basket, then a lot of other spaces are also very interesting in the markets today. Let me just draw your attention to one stock, and that is Coal India. The stock has rallied about 5.5% today, and it's been in momentum. Never have we seen this kind of a move on Coal India. It has largely been a dormant stock, which is only seen as a pure play dividend stock, right? But the kind of move that we have seen over the last 1 year has surprised many, and on several accounts we do see intraday moves that we have never seen before. on Coal
Right.
India. Even today, there is news flow that this time around for FY24, we could be hoping to see, record dividend coming in from the company, and that is clearly behind the move that we have seen today. But your thoughts on Coal India, and how would you advise investors to approach this stock now?
Yes, so definitely stocks in the manufacturing sector have seen this good growth happening in the recent times, and Coal India is one such stock. We're seeing, in the recent times, Coal India as a business would see a big uptick because, with the monsoons getting over, thermal power would become much more, it would be in demand, and Coal India would get that business. Secondly, you mentioned the dividend, which will be high this time, and that will get a lot of attention from investors. Plus, with this being a election year, a lot of these manufacturing and industrial companies are getting a lot of deal wins from the government, and that is expected to keep the business strong for Coal India. Right, there's a lot of demand for the material that Coal India supplies, and that will keep this stock attractive in the long term. So I think initially we saw firstly the infrastructure company grow, and now we're seeing material companies like Coal India and cement companies, which are now picking up. And I think it's a very interesting time for us to watch these stocks, right?
Okay. Any particular targets that you'd like to share with all our viewers in case you're positive on Coal India? What can one really hope for?
No, so I won't be surprised for another 10 to 20% upside from these levels in the short term. But again, it totally depends on the overall broader market conditions. We are going through a geopolitical crisis, and we have to be very aware of that, right?
Okay, let's also discuss with you some of the other pockets that are moving up. The Adani Group stocks are back in action today. Do you watch this space, and any particular stock that you track over here that you feel that is the right time that investors can look for opportunity?
Yes, I think, see, we don't really, because of the heightened volatility, we try to, be a little bit aware of that in these stocks. But with the, Adani port having that exposure to the Israel port, got a sharp correction yesterday, right? And then today, people think that the situation would stabilize, and that's a very important port that Adani has, which will continue to grow at a good pace in the next few years. And that's why it's again getting back that attention. So I think Adani port is extremely interesting because of their port exposure, right?
All right. Well, okay. Any particular sectors or stocks that you yourself are positive on, that you have deciphered that up until, say, the festive season, you'd like to, take positions or higher positions? You've already made positions for your clients, or you're advising your clients to have?
Right. So I think today we are seeing a very good growth in a number of stocks that we track, right? So we are seeing good growth happening in the defense, railway sector as well. And recently we have started allocating a little bit more towards the banking space, small and medium PSUs, to metals and related sectors. And those are also seeing very good growth numbers happening today, right? So if you look at stocks like a central bank or a KIOCL, these are all getting a lot of attention today. So I think that allocation seems to be working in the market.
Okay, central bank is what you said, right? 5.5% higher is what we are already seeing on this one. What kind of target would you have? It's trading at 49 rupees right now.
So see, we do have a positive allocation to it. There's no specific target that I have in mind right now, but I see good up moves in the short term with this particular stock.
What about KIOCL? That stock is also up by 6%. So strong moves coming in on this one too. 321 currently.
Yeah, so again, see, it's a metal stock, a small cap stock that that will receive a lot of love because of the resurgence in the commodity prices with what's happening in China. So I again have a very good projection for this stock in the short term.
Any percentage wise that you'd like to see over the next 1 year perspective? What kind of growth can we see on this one?
See, I do expect a good double-digit growth. So roughly, 20 to 30% would be something that we could look at. But again, totally depends on how the supply chain in the world sort of shapes up, right?
Okay, well, many thanks, Sonam, for being with us on the show and discussing all these insights. Let's look at the markets again. 19,685 currently on the Nifty is what you're able to spot. Markets doing pretty well in shape, and all the segments of the markets, all the sectoral indices also contributing pretty well in the markets. It's just the healthcare index that's now slipping into the red. So some bit of losses coming in, and you're seeing heavyweights like, Cipla, Dr. Reddy slightly dip in trade, and this is what is creating slight amount of profit taking being taken place. Rest of the stocks, in fact, most of the stocks from the Nifty 50 basket are also all up in trade today. Very few stocks that are down into the red, and it's TCS is the one, and also Asian Paints, Cipla. These are the stocks that you're seeing with some losses coming in right ahead of the closing of the session, but definitely a good day so far, and looks like we are headed for a very strong close again on today's trade. What will be important to see is whether this momentum can continue for the rest of the days in this entire week to follow as well. We'll continue to tell all of you about the tracking of the important cues that you should do before you start investing for the next trading session as well. So do stay tuned on to Business Today Television. You can also subscribe to our channel and also continue to engage with us on our other social media platforms too. Until then, thanks for tuning in.